Hi everybody, it's Deborah from peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching my video today. Today's video is about dog bite safety for kids. In today's video, we're going to talk about 8 very specific ways that you can prevent your child from being bitten by a dog. We're going to talk briefly about some of the common reasons why a dog might bite. We're also going to be talking about how to prevent your dog from biting kids, whether it's your own children or somebody else's kids. And then I'm going to be also linking another video for you that's about how to prevent your dog from biting anyone, whether it's kids or adults, and specifically how to prevent being bitten by a dog yourself. So we're going to cover quite a bit of information today. I hope you'll stick with me. I'm also going to ask, because of the seriousness of this topic, I'm going to ask you that you please share this video with your friends who have kids and also other dog lovers. I would appreciate that so much. If you have not been here before, my name is Deborah. I own a website called peoplelovinganimals.com, and we're going to use this post on my website called Dog Bite Safety for Kids to guide us through today's video. I'm going to give you a link to this post, and anything that we talk about in the video, it'll all be linked for you in the description box. I do videos all about the care and health and training of dogs and cats. So if you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you on board as a subscriber. And as always, if you like today's video, please go ahead and give it a like, because it really does help YouTubers when you do that. Thanks again so much for watching. Now, dog bite safety for kids. It is really heartbreaking when a dog ends up biting a child, because it has terrible consequences. First of all, it's obviously bad for the child if they're hurt, if they're injured. It's terrifying for the parent. It can result in all kinds of, legal issues, terrible consequences for the dog, anything from being sent to a shelter or abandoned, or worse, being euthanized. So it is a very serious topic. And obviously, as parents, you want to protect your children from being bitten by a dog. Dog bite prevention for kids. Kids need to be aware that any dog can bite if provoked. The majority of dog bites happen with a dog that the child knows. Either it's their own dog or the neighbor's dog or a friend's dog. We'll talk in a couple of minutes about why dogs bite, but let's talk about the 8 ways that you can prevent your child from being bitten by a dog. The first way is that children should never approach a growling, a scared, or a barking dog. Now, I think just by instinct, kids are going to know better than to try to approach a dog who's snarling and growling. But if the dog appears scared, it might be the kid's instinct to try to comfort the dog, and if a dog is barking, he may not be snarling or showing his teeth, so the child may not realize that the dog is dangerous. So first and foremost, your kids need to know that any dog can bite. The second way is that children should not approach a dog who is eating, sleeping, chewing on a bone or a toy, or caring for their nursing puppies. Dogs are more likely to bite if they're startled, or especially if it's a mother caring for her puppies. Now, this might be different, obviously, in your own household. You've had the dog a long time, everything is fine. But if you get a new dog, you want to teach your kids these things, and if you're at somebody else's house or in a park or anywhere, go over these rules with the kids. If the dog's eating, chewing on their bone, anything like that, it's not a good time to pet the dog. The third way is that children shouldn't pet unfamiliar dogs without asking for the owner's permission first. This is one that I get particularly aggravated by. For several years, I had a miniature dachshund named Taz, and she was a delightful dog. She wasn't ferocious in any way, but she didn't care for kids. At the time that I got her, she was elderly. I had her another 6.5 years, so she was an older dog. She didn't care for other dogs, and she didn't care for kids. Like I said, she wasn't violent. She wouldn't snarl. She never bit anybody, but she didn't care for kids, and she was old, and she was in pain. She was having health problems, and I would get really aggravated when I would take her for a walk, kids would just rush up to her. They would just rush up to her and they'd say, "Oh, wiener dog." And they would rush up to her and pet her and they got their hands all over. Thank God Taz never bit any of these kids. But if she had, I would have defended her and I would have chewed out the parents. It's like, you need to teach your kid. You can't just rush up to any dog. You need to ask the owner's permission. Is it okay to pet the dog? Okay, so that to me is it's just a very aggravating one because I can't imagine. I don't know. It just makes me mad. Okay, so anyway, that's one of the very important things. Teach your children. You cannot just go up and pet any strange dog. If you want to go up to the dog, if you want to pet the dog, just ask the owner if it's okay to pet the dog before you put your hands all over the dog, okay? The fourth one is that children shouldn't try to pet a dog who's in a car or behind a fence. It is a dog's instinct to protect their territory. And if they're left in the car while their parents are in the store, they might feel the need to protect that vehicle. And if they're in their own yard and they're behind the fence and you approach, they probably would have the instinct to protect the property, to protect the house, the family, the yard. Okay, so teach your kids, don't go up to a dog if they're behind a fence or if they are in a car. Number 6, children should not go near dogs who are outside off leash. If a loose dog comes up near the child shouldn't scream or run. It's best to avoid eye contact with the dog and stand still until the dog goes away. The child can slowly walk away after the dog has lost interest. So, if your kid is at the park or whatever and somebody's got their dog off the leash and that dog comes running up to your kid, just warn your kids. Don't necessarily engage with the dog. You don't know this dog. It's a strange dog. Hopefully the dog's owner sees the dog and is coming to get the dog. But just better safe than sorry, right? When in doubt, don't. Don't engage with the dog if a dog comes running up to the kids. Number 7, if a dog knocks a child down or if the child falls down, the child should curl up and place their hands and arms around their head to protect their neck and ears. Staying still and quiet in this position makes it likely that the dog will go away. Now, you don't want to scare your kids, obviously, when you're teaching them about dog bite safety, but I do think kids need to have respect for dogs and they do need to have a little bit of fear because it can be a very dangerous thing and a child can be hurt very seriously if a dog bites them. So, if you're at the park or something and your kid falls down and there's a loose dog around, just kind of review this with your kids ahead of time on that they need to lay down, be still, protect their heads. Just again, better safe than sorry. The 8th way is a child should never try to outrun a dog. Instead, they should try throwing the dog something like their jacket, their backpack, even their bicycle, something for the dog to grab onto that the child can put between themselves and the dog. I am going to give you a link to another article that talks a little bit more about this specifically. But again, these are things that you should be reviewing with your kids. If you say, what if you're at the playground and a dog comes running up? What do you do? What if you're at the playground and the dog is going to attack you? What if they're going to bite you? What do you do? These are just things that you should be going through with your kids, from the serious stuff to what to do if you're being attacked by a dog, and also the everyday, logic, common sense decisions for them of don't approach a dog, without asking the owner, those sorts of things. I'm going to give you a link to this post and also my post called Dog Bite Training Tips, Education and Prevention. I'm going to give you the link to the video on that as well. Just very briefly, why might a dog bite? According to the AKC, which is the American Kennel Club, common reasons are, number 1, they're afraid. Number 2, they are startled. Number 3, they're protecting or guarding something or someone. Number 4, they're frustrated. Or number 5, they're in pain. Number 6, they're just playing, but they're playing too rough. rough. In my personal opinion, I think the most dangerous ones are if the dog is afraid or if the dog is in pain. Now, a dog might bite your face off to protect the yard too, but I don't know. I just think that dogs are particularly vulnerable when they are scared or when they are in pain. And just like humans, when are we most protective? Get away from me, get away from me. When we're in pain or when we're scared. So I just think it just kind of fuels that instinct. So just, again, teach your kids, if the dog is scared, if the dog seems to be afraid, don't sneak up and startle a dog. If the dog appears to be in pain, again, it might be the kid's instinct to try to comfort the dog, but, the dog may bite. One of the things obviously you could tell your kid is if the dog is scared, if you think a dog is pain, tell the nearest adult. Just say, I think there's something wrong with that dog, right? Just teach them. Don't you approach the dog and try to help the dog. I'm going to give you a link to an article by the AKC about reasons why dogs bite. You're going to want to check that one out as well for more information. How to prevent your dog from biting a child. There's a website called ourpetshealth.com. I'm going to give you a link to their article. They talk about 6 ways that you can prevent your dog from biting a child, whether it's your child or someone else's child. First, you should be socializing your dog. You should take steps to get your dog used to people, get them used to people, get them used to children, get them used to other dogs. I'll try to remember when I publish this video to give you a link to some of my posts and videos about puppy socialization, dog socialization. If I don't remember, you can do a search on my YouTube channel for just the word socialize, and you'll find some tips on how to socialize your dog. Number 2 is learn how to read dog body language. I'm going to give you a link for my post and video about that. Again, with children, they should understand dog body language. You might want to review that video with your kids as well. If a dog's ears are flat back, obviously, if they're growling or showing their teeth, if they have their tail tucked between their legs, they might look really innocent. They might look really not threatening, but like I said, a dog with its tail between its legs is a dog who is frightened, and they can bite, you see. The third way is always supervise your dog when your children are nearby, especially if you have a new dog. Don't just bring the dog home and let the kids play with it. It has to be, you got to take it seriously. If you pick up a dog at a shelter, you don't know what that dog's history has been. You don't know what kind of negative experience, what kind of abuse they may have had. Even if it's a very happy dog, dogs who have experienced any sort of abuse may have certain triggers that you don't know about. So again, just don't leave your kids unsupervised with any dog, or even your own dog, until you're familiar with the dog. Number 4, teach your child how to be gentle and respectful to dogs. I'm going to give you a link for it's a professional tutorial from professional dog trainer Doggy Dan called How to Get the Kids Involved in Dog Training. I'm also going to try to remember to give you a link for a dog training, I might mention it in this post, a dog training program for kids called The Family Dog. And that one has videos in it that are really fun for kids, but it really educates kids about safety around dogs. So I'm going to give you some links to those things. But specifically, your kids need to be taught to respect a dog and to treat the dog nicely. And I think that, I think all of us when we're kids, if we have an opportunity to be cruel, kids will do that. I think it's all part of growing up. I think it's all part of taking our place in society. I think it's some primal, best, survival of the fittest kind of thing. But I just think that, kids need to be watched. If you ever had your kid, you see him being mean to the neighbor kid, or they want to be mean to the dog. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a natural instinct in kids that we have to teach them not to do. I remember my first pet when I was a child. We had a couple of pets for short periods, but the first dog that we had long term was a poodle named Peppy, and we got him from a puppy, and it was basically our family's first experience owning a dog for the long term. And I remember both my parents were very engaged in teaching us about the dog, and we all trained the dog, together as a family and everything. But I remember my mother specifically being, taking the time to teach us, be nice to the dog. And the thing that's kind of ironic about that is my mother was not necessarily a big animal lover. She was not the one that had the cat or the dog on her lap. She wasn't mean to animals, but she didn't really care for animals. She wasn't a big animal lover, but she thought it was important for her kids to have a dog, and she taught us how to be nice to the dog. And I remember she would go so far. She would always, you make sure the dog's food and water dishes are clean. Don't make the dog cry at the door for 45 minutes. He has to go to the bathroom, those sorts of things. And also, we learned to celebrate the dog, to play with the dog, to be joyful with the dog. And one of the things I specifically remember was Mom would say to us, "Well, how do you think that makes Peppy feel?" She would teach us compassion. It's like, okay, you're doing that to the dog. Do you think he likes it? I remember specifically trying to put my baby clothes on the dog. Let's see how Peppy looks in this doll dress, And my mom was like, does the dog like that? How do you think Peppy really feels about that? It's just kind of funny. But, she would take the time and she taught us to be compassionate with the dog. So I do think that's important too. Just your own kids. Just teach them how pets should be treated. Any pet. And that includes other dogs, like out at the dog park and stuff, or if they're at a friend's house, how to treat that family's pet. I just think it's very important. Number 5, never let children take food from a dog or interrupt its meals. That's obviously true in your own house, because even if the dog's not going to bite them, your kid shouldn't be trying to take the dog's food away or try to wrestle a bone out of its mouth, and especially if it's a strange dog or if you're at a friend's house or something. Number 6, provide a place where your dog can get away from children. If you have a dog who, like I said, my wiener dog Taz, she was elderly. Now, at that time in my life, there was never any real, little kids coming over to my house. But if there had been, she would have had to be allowed to go in the bedroom, and the kids can't follow her. She's a cute wiener dog. Well, I wouldn't have let kids follow Taz into the bedroom. I would have protected her and made sure that she had a place where she could escape from the kids, even if, like, for example, when we were out on walks and stuff, I would often just pick her up. I would just pick her up and I'd walk away with her if I had to, if kids were around her and they wouldn't back off. But just keep in mind, especially if you have an elderly dog, if you have a dog that has any sort of pain issues, and if you have adopted a shelter dog, if it's a new dog that you're not familiar with, just, make sure that they have a getaway, okay, so that they're not cornered by kids, okay? I am also going to give you a link to an article from ourpetshealth.com about ways to prevent your dog from biting children. I think I might have mentioned them already, but I'll give you all these links. I'm going to give you a link to my article, Dog Biting Training Tips. In that post, we talk about how to prevent your dog from biting anyone and how to prevent being bitten yourself. I do have a video on that. I'm going to sit down with this post before I publish this video, and I'll make sure I'm giving you the links to all these things. Now, if you have not been here before, you don't know that I donate to animal charities. I do peoplelovinganimals.com as my job, and I donate 10% of all of my earnings to animal charities. And if you go to the homepage of my website, peoplelovinganimals.com, you will see a list of the animal charities that I donate to. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate you staying till the end. If the video is helpful, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you're not already. And again, please go ahead and share this video with your friends who have kids or your friends who have a dog. I think it's important information for us to share. So again, thanks so much for watching. My name is Deborah, and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again. Bye-bye.